There's a lot going on in the real estate industry today, and fortunately, a lot of times they put pipeline businesses out of business. It is absolutely affecting the real estate industry. That's why you're seeing acquisitions like Compass purchasing Anywhere. I mean, raise your hand if I asked you 5 years ago, Coldwell Banker, Century 21, all of these other companies that are under at the time, it was not Anywhere, it was Realogy. All of these companies were under the Realogy umbrella. Do you see these companies closing? I mean, you've been around for a while. Don't take that the wrong way. You've been in the real estate business for how long?
29 years.
29 years. Broker owner, right?
Broker owner.
Broker owner.
For 25 of those.
All right. Is what I'm saying making sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. Did you ever see Coldwell Banker being sold?
Do I ever see it being sold?
Did you ever predict 10 years ago, 20 years ago that Coldwell Banker would one day be sold?
No, I didn't see that coming, but
How about Remax?
no. Okay, because they're all branded companies that have big histories, and you would think that they wouldn't be doing this.
That's right. Remax was the number one real estate brokerage in the United States in the 1990s. Not number one just by a little bit, number one by a lot. And Remax just sold to Real. Why? Why are they doing that? Well, part of the reason, guys, is part of that deal was $300 million in debt. Now, there's the answer right there. If Remax is $300 million in debt, the question is, why are they $300 million in debt? Because of what we're talking about right here. Why would this matter to you? Because all right, welcome to Survive to Thrive, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I've been working on this since about 5 o'clock this morning. And the reason that I look the way that I do is because I looked up and it was 8:50 and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, time to just turn it on and get ready to go. Forgive my unprofessional appearance, but there's a lot going on in the real estate industry today. And because, my main vision is to pour into you in order to help all of you build a bigger, more successful real estate business and a bigger, better, more meaningful life as well, I am going to talk about it. About 3 years ago, when I made the transition in my real estate business to run my business on a platform, a cloud-based platform that allows me to own a real estate business, I started talking about what the future of real estate looked like. And one of the things that I shared was we're going to see real estate commissions squeezed. In other words, consumers are going to be paying less money than what they used to pay, and we are definitely seeing that. We're seeing the commissions being squeezed by average about 25%. But I also said that to the real estate agents that survived this shift in the industry, it would mean more money, not less money, because artificial intelligence would make it easier for you to do your job so you could do more deals in less time. And even though you were getting a little bit less money per deal, you were going to make more money overall. All of it's coming true. And it's not about me making a prediction or anything like that. It's just about what's going on in the industry. So I read a book several years ago called The Platform Revolution. Write it down and read it. The Platform Revolution. And the whole idea behind the platform revolution is that platforms disrupt the industry. Now, an example of a platform revolution is, and there's a whole bunch, by the way, okay, is Amazon. Prior to Amazon coming along, pipeline businesses like Sears, JCPenney's, Circuit City. Everybody remember Circuit City? There's a lot of these companies that are no longer in business. And part of it is because platforms typically disrupt an industry. And unfortunately, a lot of times they put pipeline businesses out of business. In a pipeline business, you have a product. Let's stick with retail. You have a product that is being distributed to stores. It's being shipped. So you have cost in shipping the product. It goes to the store. You have cost in the actual brick and mortar. You have cost in staff. Somebody has to unload that product, put it on shelves. And then you have staff working inside the store who are waiting on customers and people at the cashier who are checking people out and so on. And you have all of these costs. And then a platform comes along like Amazon. And Amazon makes it possible for you to buy whatever it is you want to buy from the comfort of your home, and it shows up at the front door the next day, sometimes the same day, and When this happens, the majority of people will choose a platform over a pipeline. Everybody with me so far? Raise your hand if you're tracking. We're good? Okay. I'm going to go to my screen share and I'm going to ask a couple of you to jump in here because you have experience with this. So, for example, one of my examples is going to be financial institutions. And Michael Trelongo, I know you worked in the stock market, so I'm anxious to hear what you have to say. But let me share my screen. I went into AI and I said, okay, give me some examples of how this works. So platform, retail classic example. Platform is Amazon, pipeline is Sears and J.C. Penney's. Like I said, Amazon doesn't own any inventory the same way. It connects buyers and sellers. Transportation, taxi industry. We have platforms like Uber and Lyft that have disrupted the taxi industry. And now there are fewer taxi drivers. Go to New York City and ask anybody driving a taxi. They pay a lot of money for the privilege of driving a taxi. Ask them how this has impacted their business as a taxi driver. It's been a huge impact. Travel and hospitality, you have platforms like Airbnb, Booking.com. Pipelines include Hilton, Marriott, traditional travel agencies, and so on. Airbnb owns 0 hotels. You have platforms like Expedia and Kayak replacing brick and mortar travel agents. I mean, you guys can get in your car. You could drive to a travel agency. They're still out there. They didn't all close down. You could find one, but are you doing it? And I know the answer to that question is no. You're sitting on your computer at home and you're going online to these companies like Expedia and Kayak and you're booking your vacation using these platforms. Payments and finance. You have PayPal, Stripe, Square versus traditional merchant banks. You go into banking and lending. You have Sotheby Lending Club replacing traditional banks. Stocks, investing platforms like Robinhood, eToro replacing traditional brokerage firms. I can keep going. I'm going to give you a couple more examples and we're going to come back and then I'm going to go to a different screen share. But auto sales, food delivery, media, and entertainment. Think about this one for a moment. Raise your hand if you are old enough that you actually went into a Blockbuster and rented a movie. All right, keep it up. Keep your hand up. Keep your hand up if you didn't return it on time and you owned the movie. Exactly. Me too. I probably in a box somewhere around here, we have a box full of videos that we purchased from Blockbuster because we didn't return them. And of course, who has a VCR or who still owns a DVD player? I mean, I don't. Maybe somebody here does. But you're sitting on your couch and you're turning on Netflix or you're turning on YouTube. My son came over and he, Dad, you could stop paying for all of this. I could just set you up on YouTube TV and you can get all of these things for free. And I'm like, how does that work? I still haven't figured that one out. It's affecting the real estate industry. It is absolutely affecting the real estate industry. When you look at a typical real estate brokerage, here's what you're going to find. And remember, not a recruiting conversation. This is just all for informational purposes. But here's the biggest challenge with a real estate brokerage. You have the brokerage at the top. If it's a franchise, you have regional owners. Then you have local franchise owners. Those franchise owners have expenses like rent and staff. The biggest challenge is you have an average real estate office with 100 agents in the office. The average unit sold per agent in the United States is less than 3, but let's go with 3 and say that office closed 300 sales. The average commission is $10,000, so that's $3 million GCI. Now commissions get squeezed by 25%, so that office is no longer bringing in $3 million in gross commission income. Now they're bringing in $2,250,000. They're bringing in $750,000 less than they were before, yet the expenses are the same. Now, you take that by an average company dollar that's going to the office. This is using company splits anywhere from 20 to 5%, but using an average of 15%. And that's also taken into consideration companies like EXP and KW and other companies that have, and Real Broker and other companies that have a cap. But it averages out about 15%, which means company dollar. That's the money that's left over to run the brokerage is $337,500 minus rent, staff, etc. How much is left for profit? Now, let you say, John, our office is averaging 6 sales per agent. Okay, no worries. Let's change this. Let's just double these numbers. Now you have, instead of 337,000, let's just say you have $680,000 still, minus rent, staff, etc. How much is left over for profit? Here's the challenge. There's not much. That's why you're seeing so many changes in the real estate industry. That's why you're seeing acquisitions like Compass purchasing Anywhere. I mean, raise your hand if I asked you 5 years ago, Coldwell Banker, Century 21, all of these other companies that are under the, at the time, it was not Anywhere, it was Realogy. All of these companies were under the Realogy umbrella. Do you see these companies closing? I mean, Diane, you've been around for a while. Don't take that the wrong way. You've been in the real estate business for how long, Diane?
29 years.
29 years. Broker owner, right?
Broker owner.
Broker owner.
For 25 of those.
All right. Is what I'm saying making sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. Did you ever see Coldwell Banker being sold?
Do I ever see it being sold?
Did you ever predict 10 years ago, 20 years ago that Coldwell Banker would one day be sold?
No, I didn't see that coming, but.
How about Remax?
Remax is, no, okay, because these are all branded companies that have big histories, and you would think that they wouldn't be doing this.
That's right. Remax was the number one real estate brokerage in the United States in the 1990s. Not number one just by a little bit, number one by a lot. And Remax just sold to Real. Why? Why are they doing that? Well, part of the reason, guys, is part of that deal was $300 million in debt. Now, there's the answer right there. If Remax is $300 million in debt, the question is, why are they $300 million in debt? Because of what we're talking about right here. Now, why would this matter to you? Because you should be focused on what your future looks like in the real estate business. Remember, this is not a recruiting conversation, all right? Nowhere am I saying that cloud-based companies are the future of real estate. Nowhere am I saying that you should change brokerages. What I'm saying is I want you to know what's going on in the industry, and I want you to know why this is going on in the industry. The reason this is happening is because these brokerages are hurting financially. Now, if history repeats itself, and if history gives us any kind of lesson, think of the examples that I gave you. Think of financial institutions, think of travel agencies, think of your phone, your iPhone platform. Your Android is a platform. Prior to the first iPhone coming out, I think it was 2009, there were 20 different phones that you could choose from. Today there's two for the most part. For the most part, you're talking iPhone or Android, and we're not going to get into that. But what if the future of real estate was similar? What if the future of real estate was two, maybe three major players with broker owner boutique offices still open? Okay, I don't think that goes away. I think that stays. All right, because if they're doing it the right way, they're doing it profitably. But I do think the companies that are at the greatest risk here are the big brand companies that have the biggest overhead, that are facing this financial challenge of commissions being squeezed. So there's less money to the brokerage, costs going up, and there's no profit, or there's little profit. How does that affect you? Where you decide to do business. How you decide to do business is where and how it affects you. All right, Nick, talk to me. Michael, you're on deck. Nick, you're on mute.
Sorry, I didn't even mean to have my hand up, but I was just thinking that the reason that is real estate's $1 billion industry. And so there's a lot of money that moves. And that's really what this all comes down to. Like you said, these companies are figuring out that this is all going to squeeze down to a handful, small handful, and they're trying to be the ones.
That's right. That's right. And another part of this that I didn't mention, and I'm going to mention it right now, is you see a move towards ancillary services being part of this. So real estate companies are providing, right, David? Real estate companies are providing title, they're providing mortgage, and they'll come right out and tell you that's where the profit is. There is more profit in the title business than there is in the real estate business. That's why they're doing this, guys.
I just put it in chat. Agents, insurance, title, lending, home warranty, etc.
Oh, before I said it? Okay, got it. There you go. All right, Michael, talk to me.
Yeah, so three things. Title, I just actually did a transaction where they had this company, CLA Title, and I look around and it says it's got offices here, there, and the other place. They're just using some of those office spaces where you can kind of use it or don't use it, kind of renting space at one of those multi-use places. But apparently they're all over the place. And at the end of the day, they're all mobile notaries. And they're across country because they can be. They just farm it out to a mobile notary, call it the name of that title company, and they're just using a mobile notary, but they're all under that same name. So they've disrupted the industry. They don't have a physical office. And there are hundreds of locations that you can go to. So that's one way disrupting. The other thing you said, if anybody said, oh, well, our office is averaging 6 closings per agent. Yeah, no, come on. And if it was that, it just means that some people at the top are closing hundreds of deals and the rest of the people are closing one. So yeah, you don't see 6 people in an office. Average agent is closing six deals in any office. Would be interesting. In every office, Zillow wouldn't exist because real estate companies would still control their future. Platform-based early disruptor. I was just thinking about an early disruptor when I was in the stock market. I'm in showing my age, but it was 30 years ago. As an investment advisor, you would think that 30 years ago, you in the stock market, you're working on Wall Street. I was not. I was in Florida working at a boutique firm, but we were using a big company on Wall Street to clear our trades. Mm-hmm. So I guess they were I didn't think about it until you mentioned, we were pretty early disruptors because you could have satellite office, just any state, anywhere. And people are going, I'm talking to somebody on Wall Street. But yeah, no, I was in Florida. So it was interesting.
Yep. Sean, talk to me.
I want to talk about a paradigm shift that's happening right now in Austin. The common theme or the thought is that it's Zillow, Trek, Texas Real Estate Commission, and then the brokers. Everybody thinks Zillow has all this power. But Emily and the people at ABOR just did something, and I don't know that they knew it would have this effect, but this is what it is. They developed right underneath all the platforms' names, so it's a paradigm shift. They created this thing called Flex. So an agent can and their clients can put their home on the MLS to test the market, right? Mm-hmm. But it doesn't push out to any of the platforms. Mm-hmm. What does that sound like? That sounds like before Zillow, before any of the platforms. Mm-hmm. So what they've done, it's like Return of the Jedi. They put all of this power back into the agent. So when I do Flex, when I talk to other agents about them doing Flex, what it's doing is it's allowing the agent to say, hey, what about, 123 Johnny Two Times Street? And the buyer says, well, I haven't seen it. And it's because it's not on any of the portals, right? So they have this, I don't call it Flex. I call it an MLS exclusive, mm-hmm. right? Because that's the only place that exists. And it empowers the agent to service their client. Now it's being tabbed as a coming soon, mm-hmm. but it's not. It's going back in time when there was only the MLS, and you empower the agents to service their clients. So what I would say to anybody that's not in ABOR, any state, is to lobby. You probably know somebody on your board. Try to get with somebody in ABOR, have them explain it to you, and then have their board create this coming soon. All of the platforms, including EXP, Compass, they're all kind of gravitating towards this coming soon thought with portals. Mm-hmm. So it'll only be on this portal. It'll only be on that portal. But right now in Austin, we've got this situation where none of that is needed because it's only on the MLS. Yeah. And so if everybody on here lobbies their board of realtors to create this, it'll be right under the portal's noses. And then we take back what's ours, right? We're the ones that curate all of this stuff. Zillow takes no pictures. Neither does Homes.com. They don't do any of that. They don't do any of that planning. They just have an idea. Yep. So if you want to power the agents, if you want the agents to have power, yep. lobby your board to create this Flex listing. All right, I'm done.
That's 100% on board on that. Okay. Guys, I would encourage you to do some research on this. Compass was the first to come out with this. Just look, 2025, how many listings were put on private private listings, whatever you want to call them, coming soons, whatever you want to call them, how many, and what percentage of those sold. By the way, I'll give you the answer to the second question. 7% of the total homes they sold in 2025 were sold through this program. It wasn't very many. Let's go, Brian Copeland.
Two things. You may not have to lobby your MLS soon because we all sounds like we're heading towards one national MLS very, very, very quickly. There's been a few articles in the news where people are going national from local markets. But number two, the real winner in all of this, John, is us as agents.
Yes.
Right? Because the competition is stiff out there. And when competition is stiff and people are fighting for us, the tables have turned. We get to keep more of our commission. We become owners in the company. We're getting benefits we've never had before.
Yes.
And it's never been a better time to be a real estate agent because we used to have to go fight for 50-50 splits or 60-40 or 70-30. Now people are willing to give us small caps right out of the gate.
Yeah, small caps out of the gate, ownership, multiple streams of income. All of these things are good, guys. And again, I'll just close it the same way I started it. My intention today was nothing more than to talk about something that is a burning topic in the real estate industry and how it affects you. I hope that's the way everybody took this. All right, that's a wrap. Make it a great day, everybody.
Thank you, John.
Great call. Thanks, John.
Okay, everyone.
Great call.
Thanks,
Thank you.
John.
Thank you.
Hundreds of agents have leveled up their systems and listings with Coach John's coaching. Your turn starts here. Scan the QR code to schedule your session.
And don't forget to subscribe and share this with someone who's serious about building long-term wealth in real estate.